Mercano coming in here. Carlos, good to see you, man. How are you? Oh, you're on mute right now.
Yeah, rookie mistake as usual.
Not as usual at all. On the second year in a row that you have been nominated for an FSWA, by the way. Congratulations to that, very much so, Carlos.
Oh,
And
come on! I'm just happy to be able to talk baseball and do this stuff. And if I am in the same category as you in anywhere, man, that means something.
that's ridiculousness. But I'm really excited for this. You sent this on the original form, and I was just like, this sounds incredible. I am going to just approve this right away. No questions asked. Like, yep, whatever you got here. And it is using machine learning to ID and evaluate pitches from video. Oh boy. Okay, I'm just gonna let you take it away. I've already wasted too much of your time. Remember, everybody, go down below, pitchwells.com/pitchcon. We're raising money for the ALS Association. We're trying to hit our $10,000 goal at the end of today. We've done this for 3 days already. You can watch all the previous days on Twitch. They'll be on YouTube next week. But go consider just a few dollars. Every little bit helps us reach that goal. So please consider doing so. And Carlos, take it away.
Thanks, Nick. All right, I just want to start thanking everyone that is taking any time to watch this presentation, and I just want to tell you that this is still a work in progress, but I think we're leading into something. Also, I want to send a thanks and an appreciation to everyone that took their time to make us worthy of having a new nomination for the FSW Awards for our podcast. So, I mean, it's amazing. It's just baseball and fantasy community is just amazing and the best. So we're going to talk a little bit about how do we use machine learning to identify and evaluate pitches from video. And this is not something new. For the past couple, I will say from 4 years, artificial intelligence has been something that has taken the world, with a vengeance, and of course, baseball being a numbers game and an evaluation and an identification, looking for any small edges, um, could not be left outside of this revolution, and actually is taking a banger point in terms of using all these techniques and things that computer science are bringing with them. I already had to warn you about this is a work in progress, and this is the way I see this is like a poor man's alternative to whatever is in the status quo. So I just wanted to make sure to I bet most of you know, but we have tremendous equipment to get information from video and from every major league baseball park and some minor league parks too. We used system called, well, we don't, MLFB and the front offices for every major team use uh, the Hawkeye technology, which just simply and in an amazing way takes all the possible video from whatever is happening on the field and captures this with a special equipment and then processes. Some of this is done real time, so you can watch when you see your favorite team's video feed, and you can see when that dreaded strike zone appears wherever the pitch crosses it, and we can start yelling at the umpire whenever things are not going our way or when we think it's not a fair call. And all of that is done using some type of artificial intelligence to work on it. And it starts with the equipment that captures these images, and most of it uses specialized video cameras that work at tremendously fast capturing speeds and with huge and high resolution. So this is expensive equipment. This is these are expensive devices that are needed to do all this, because the processing also needs some power behind it. And I was thinking, okay, we can see that in our television, and we can have some information, but what if we could take some um, classic footage and video and put it into some kind of processing that it's easier, or at least it doesn't require these equipments to use. So my thinking behind this idea, it was that an alternative to all this process that goes around there. Okay, so I'll try to make it short in terms of theory, in terms of this maybe boring mathy stuff. I'll just want to touch on a few concepts that I believe it's important that we have clear, because that way it will help us understand what's needed to get into it, and then I think that we can see some um, we can see it in action, that will help us understand and tie together the theory and whatever the results are, right? So I will start with a really little introduction to what's machine learning, and how do we use it, and how would you prepare it to use it in this specific example, right? As I said, artificial intelligence has taken the world by storm, and those that are following news recently, we've seen things like Chat GPT and all the derivatives of it that are taken. I mean, it's almost impossible to miss in your Twitter feed. All things around this, and it relates to a couple of things like receive having mm, more powerful computers at our disposal whenever we for lay a regular person, but also because the giants in tech are finding ways to improve and make better algorithms behind all this. In its simple inception, machine learning is just a branch of artificial intelligence and computer science, right? And we use it to process huge amounts of data that we as humans are not able to do it by ourselves. And what's the idea? Well, the idea is that we can use this to create models that will help us predict future behaviors. We humans are obsessed with predicting future, right? That's in our nature, and especially for fantasy baseball players, that's one of the things that move us, right? We want to predict who's going to be the guy that no one is watching, that could be the next stud in our pitching rotation, in our fantasy teams. We want to find things that no one else is finding out, and use it to predict a breakout, or the opposite. We'll finding things in some guys that are not really great, and might predict that this guy is gonna, you know, go do very bad in the future, so we can avoid picking up those players for our fake team. So machine learning is one technique of many that can be used to create these predictive models that can help us uh, find out or forecast whatever is coming in the future, right? We have algorithms, we have data, and we need to find a way to put this together to create the models. What we try to do is teaching the computer how to think in a way that fits the purpose that we want. Uh, and the important thing is that you don't need to explicitly program it, put in a set of rules, because you are mostly moved about whatever is the input, the output that you want, and whatever happens in the middle of it, it's up to the algorithms and the computers to crunch the numbers and find a way to make it to find the relations that will make this happen. And this has gotten a lot easier and affordable for almost anyone play and to work with this, because in the past, the math behind it and the devices needed to work on it was extremely expensive in terms of cost, and but also in terms of man hours needed to make it work, right? A way that I like to think about model created or model creation using machine learning is it is through the black box analogy. And this model, the black box model, means that we have this little cute black box, which can be our machine, our device, and we feed it with some data that it's happening. Uh, um, let's say that there is a behavior in, or let's say that we want to identify two kinds of fish, one that is poisonous and the other is not. So we know for experience which are poisonous, and we know which aren't. So we put inside the, or we feed this black box with pictures of the non-poisonous fish, and we tell it, hey, this is not poison, this is not poisonous. And we give also the poisonous ones and tell it, hey, watch out, these ones are poisonous. And we want, and as a result, that this black box can tell us if we give them another picture of any fish that we don't tell it if it's or it's not poisonous. So it will create the model with the information that we already gave it, and later on we can use this model to give any picture of this fish, and it will automatically, as an output, tell us which is or which isn't poisonous. So it's a way of representing this all the math stuff and algorithms that are happening inside this black box in terms of results, in terms of inputs and results. A huge and important part of one type or one branch of the of machine learning, which is called supervised learning, it's behind the data labeling. If we don't tell it which fish is poisonous and which isn't from this initial training images that we're given to it, we will need to use other kinds of algorithms to make it work and try to find out what we want the results of, trying to tell us which is or which isn't from new information that we're given it. So for for the purpose of this exercise and this model that I created, I use data labeling, and we will see a little bit how does this work into this environment, the pitching environment. Machine learning on baseball, as I said in the introduction. So um, you will not find a single major league team without a data and research department. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Some invest more, some do not. Um, I have a friend that is doing a great research on the relationship between those teams that invest the most in their data departments and those that don't, and how the ones that do, they have there is a correlation between winning and this, and I think that's going to be really interesting in the future when he publishes it. But the truth is that all every major league team does this, and they have their own models, they have their own statistics, their own metrics, and that go way beyond what we can use whenever we try to get stuff from Savant or any of the other amazing places like the picture list pages, which with now with P-Ball are taking a huge step forward um, with it, or baseball prospectus, Fangraphs, wherever you go and getting these metrics. This is just a subset of things that it's available for major league teams. They have the internal processes where they use machine learning and other um, types of artificial intelligence techniques and statistical techniques. Um, there are when we use when we see whatever is in television, and we see the tails that follow the pitches, or whatever the ball crosses, there is some type of artificial intelligence behind it, but this it goes way beyond it. Things like finding out uh, best ways to optimize the flight path of the bat. That's something that's very interesting, and it's been analyzed, and it goes way beyond that. So there is a really tidy relationship between machine learning and baseball. So going directly into what I did with this model, the idea was to identify the first part of it's to identify the path or the flight of the baseball from the moment that the pitcher releases it from his hand, and it goes all the way to the home plate and crosses the home plate and whatever happens there. Um, Also, there has to be the detection of other artifacts, and in this case, I also was interested in some points of reference, like the rubber in on the mound, or the home plate. And this was part of a recommendation from Kyle Bland, our lead data analyst in Pitcherlist, and a few conversations we had in December, because for the purpose of getting more information and doing the proper analysis of whatever is happening with the ball, we need some points of reference in that 3D world to be able to analyze properly what's happening with the ball. How did I do the data collection? As I was telling before, I wanted to be able to use regular footage of the pitcher throwing the ball, because that's what's available for us, right? We don't have privileged films of on whatever is happening on the field. So the biggest resource of videos from pitchers that we can get is from Baseball Savant's website, right? Um, I know that all of you knows about Baseball Savant, but if in case you're interested, this is MLB's official advanced statistics website, and it has a wonderful search function where you can, uh, well, almost find out whatever you want in terms of single events, like one pitch, or that they can be grouped together in terms of one metric range, or some kinds of events that we are interested. So, for example, I took a search on every possible kind of pitch. Those are, divided into fastballs, changeups, knuckleballs, and the such, and took and downloaded as much of these videos possible. Of course, I have limitations. I'm just one, but a representation, and it had to be random. It had to fulfill a series of requirements to make it a worthy sample, right? And I took these videos, and after I took them, what needed to be done was to split in single images each of these videos. Let me explain a little bit. To process these videos, they were divided frame by frame and put in a folder. And so, for example, as we're looking there in the image, that's a pitch from Dylan Says, and here is this was just one of the frames that create the whole video from that specific pitch that Dylan did. And for each these videos that we can download from Baseball Savant, they run approximately like 6 to 8 seconds each. If each frame goes around 30 seconds, each second, sorry, goes around 30 frames. It will depends, but you can have pretty much some 200 images, give or take, per video. So the pre-processing that had to be done here is to each, well, I discarded those images that were not presenting the flight of the ball. So that took a lot of work out of it, because the actual pitch just takes less than 2 seconds, including the movement of the pitcher. If he's not Nestor Cortez or Johnny Cueto, right? That would take a lot of more time. But regularly, just it's just around 2 seconds. So what we do here is that with all the images from the flight, that would be around 80 images, the labeling had to be done. And if you recall what I was saying before, the labeling is like making this little black box know what's important from those images for us, right? And what does it have to take into account when it's going to create the model. In this case, if we can see these little red squares, we have the smallest square is the ball here, just going in on its way to the catcher's mitt. Um, and that's labeled with some special software that it's needed. And when we label, or when I put this little square around the ball, it will automatically create another associated file where it says, hey, here there is a ball. And it's important for the computer to have it when it's working in this model. Also, we have as a reference, right in front of the catcher, there is the home plate, or as much of what's available of it, because of the perspective from which the video shows it. And also we have whatever I could put around it of the rubber on the top of the mound, right? So why are these important, the rubber and the home plate? So part of the great, or the lack of using baseball savants information is that we don't only have access to the video, we also have access to these files that we can download from our search, where we are going to find very specific measurements of whatever is happening in that moment through that pitch. We're going to find when did the, or at which, from which point the pitcher released the ball, which, as we all know, this is the release point. It's called the release point, and that's based, or the relative frame of reference for it is based on the rubber, the home plate, and the distance that it's from one to the other. So we knowing or identifying where in the video are the rubber and the home plate, and knowing the release point of the ball, we can start creating um, a sort of 3D model of what's happening in there from the video. Of course, this takes a lot of other stuff, and that's part of the work in progress that I will mention later on. But I knew that if I wanted to go ahead with this, I would needed to get as much information as possible. And Kyle was very kind to point out some stuff that was needed. So I have to thank him for that. Um, This is the time consuming part of the process, the pre-processing of the data, in this case the video data, and all the labeling and of the information takes a while, and that's why it's been also a work in progress. We're talking about if we have, even when we have discarded all the images that are not relevant for the flight of the ball, and we only have 80 frames out of a single pitch. Imagine if we need to pre-process around 500 pitches, the amount of images that need to be labeled. There are ways to automate this, and I have been using it, but still, this is like the most intensive in terms of man hours part of the process. And the thing, as with fantasy baseball, is that sometimes, or it's important to have a good sample to work with, and this is something that cannot be shorthanded, because you could end with a very or not significant enough sample of videos that will not let us get the best model. So has taken a lot of time. I've already automated part of it, but it can be improved for the future. Okay. After all the data set was clean, after all of it was finished, all the pitches that I wanted in to fit this little black box. Um, I choose an algorithm, I fit all the information, and the model was created. How do we evaluate this model? So I'm going to switch from the presentation for a moment, and I'm going to share my screen, because I want you guys to see part of this process, and part of the resultants in terms of the video detection. I forgot to mention that for the model that I'm using, um, there is one called YOLO, but it's not YOLO like the section and I have in my two start pictures column. It's actually you only look once, and it's a model created that it's widely used for computer vision tasks, and it helps a lot because it's really fast, really. It saves a lot of time because it's not as computer intensive, although depending on the size of of the sample it can be, but it is really useful, and it can save a lot of time. So allow me for a minute to share my screen. Okay. Okay. And I'm gonna show. All right. You should be able to see um, my screen now. I don't know if someone. I'm gonna take this one out, and I'm gonna put this. I don't know if you guys can see it. Someone can confirm. Confirm. Um, there. Okay. Thank you. There it is. So what RIT is used as a black box, it's just one of the thousands of tools that are available. I'm using Google Colab, which is a really powerful and easy to use um, environment for creating models running in Python, which is the language I chose to for this task. But it can be, there are plenty of other. This is just the one that I pretty much use because of the different. And after the model was created, it was time to uh, try it out. out. And how do we out? As I did baseball 7, and that's the one that we want to analyze. Reach for, and let's look for, it's loading here. There you are. So here I just search for a list of pitchers that had fastballs, in this case, that were on the range of over 100 miles per hour, right? Of course, Mr. Hunter Green is one of the, it was in the lead of this. So we can go and search for one of those pitches. We open the one we have here, that pitch, and we download it. Let's go and download it here. After we download it, I just simply send it to my model and make it detect. I already trained the model and I'm to do the evaluation. So I put the name, I already uploaded to wherever it's needed, and I run the evaluation. What does this mean? This means that this new video that was not used to train the model, that the model has not seen before, it has to be, or the model has to be able to detect the three things that that he was trained for: the ball, the rubber, and the home plate, right? So it's running the evaluation, and I think it's almost done. Wait, bear with me a second. Yeah, it's done. So I can download it. I will go to wherever it is. Just lost just a minute. Okay, here it is. Let's download it. Let's wait for a second that it's downloaded. And now I'm gonna share and compare the two things: the original video and the one that we're using or we're getting as a result. So I will share. Just wait a second. I'll share my local desktop. Okay, so here we are. Okay, I'm having trouble with the desktop. Not yet, right? Bear with me a second. You guys able to see? Can someone? No, I would like. No, I'm trying to share the whole screen. Let me. Oh, thank you. All right. So this is going to. I'm going to show first Hunter Green's pitch in this case.
This season.
This with like the actual footage that we just downloaded from Baseball Savant, right? From just like his baseball season. And after the result that we go after running the model on it detected, like the home. The little number that shows there is just like the confidence that the model has that that's the home plate. The rubber just beneath the feet of Hunter. And I'm going to play back this just a little bit slower so we can check it out better. Here comes. And there you are. It all takes the ball in on its flight from Hunter's hand all the way to the catcher's mitt. It sometimes skip some frames where the ball is, and that's part of the tweaking that the models needs to have, and all the learning. The more information or other videos, images that I could use to train it, I will get a more accurate model that will help to for the identification of it. But sometimes we just need a few points all the way from for the fly. It can give us enough information, and some information can be extrapolated and things like that. There are techniques that can be used to fill the missing information, right? So, like there was some place that were missed, but the good thing is that we get most of the detection from each of the elements that we want, and we don't have too much noise around other things all around the frame or the video that could put noise in what we are trying to detect. This is the foundation of everything, because as we get we are not getting just these nice little boxes around these elements. Alongside this, the model gives us files with the coordinates for each of these elements that are it's actually the most important data that we need. This is nice to see on a graphical representation for the moment, and it's a good fast way to see if the model is doing its job from the beginning. I also previously did others. For example, we have Mr. Andres Munoz, and here I'm pitching one of those turn process this through the model. I'm gonna run it at its on slower playback rate. So there we can see that it actually already found the home plate and the rubber, our references. And from the moment releases the ball from his hand, there should be a detection and tracking of the baseball on its path, flying all the way to the catcher's mitt. And there he is. So having this information first and being able to get it from the just a simple footage, a simple video that anyone can access from baseball event, can give us a lot of information that it's what's coming next for this model, right? We have it. Um, Now we have all these coordinates that go all the way from the release point to the catcher's mitt. What I'm doing now is running the detection for as much videos as I can, and I'm automating this process because you can imagine how many pitches were thrown last year. A typical starting pitchers will go more than 2,000 pitches, and of course, it would be it would not make sense to go for each one of them. As I said, we can work with random selection of pitches, and I'm assembling a database with all these coordinates and this information and putting it together with a reference frame that it's allowing me to create a 3D model of these pitches. And I've already done a few evaluations, but to be honest, the process is not as mature as it should be for a production model, right? So that's why I'm refraining myself to showing or putting out some of the pitches evaluation, because if you want something that's already mature and proven and it's working, you can use p-valves, which well, we can all vouch for it because it's already production wise. So this is more of a thing that we I will be evaluating through this season, and my idea is to pair this with a model that I already have created before, which is a specs, which is way simpler model for sure, but which has proven worthy and has proven that it will be helpful too. So I'm pairing it with it and comparing and seeing how they can work together to find what makes each pitch or an unique event that can be used to predict a pitcher's performance. What I have found right now, right before, is that a couple of pitchers like Lucas Giolito, um, like our friend. Oh my God, I lost the list. Let me look for the list here. Uh, okay, Lucas Giolito, Mr. Hunter Green, Aaron Shibali. We also have Jesus Luzardo, Mitch Keller. There are some interesting names. What I have found is that after evaluating the flight path and pairing it together with the specs and the information on spin, shift, and the other information that we can put together for each pitch from baseball seven, um, they actually have proven into the initial stages of these evaluations to be onto something better than what we saw from them last year. I'm especially interested for Mitch Keller because he also has added some other stuff to his arsenal. And this is something that I just found out late last night when I was rerunning this is really in its early stages, so I need to do more testing and more running. I'll make sure to share the findings when I find that it is something that it can be helpful for the community, and that can be of really good value and not something that might be just wrong at all. um so the final idea and what's beyond from now on is that I will gather as much info from all the pictures, especially some cases that are interesting, and of course, as we all want to get an edge, I'll try to run this evaluation for pictures that are maybe under the radar, or they have passed the, I don't know, ADP 200, things like 300, that maybe they didn't have the best of the seasons last year, and they are disregarded because sometimes uh, what happens on the field is not entirely the reflection of the effort and whatever is happening with each of these pitches. We all know that pitching is just an art as a science, and luck sometimes plays a lot of its part in the final result after each of it, these pitches are thrown. So pretty much I'm in the I had put together like 1,000 more things. I just wanted to add that I will also try to put this in a web form, in for, I don't know, some app in a website that would be a lot easier to use. But because as you saw right now, the tools and resources that I'm having to use requires uh, having to know a little bit of Python, having to know a little bit of this and that, and it's just can be cumbersome and not as approachable as I would love to. So my idea is put in all that's going behind the scenes, and that should go behind the scenes into a website or something that you only upload the video, or maybe just tell it, hey, I will analyze pitches from this guy from this and this, and tell me if you find something in this pitch that it's worth, or just simply give me a summary of the characteristics of this, and compare it to others. That's part of what's into the in my to-do list, right? I just hope that I wish days had some more days, right? Because we're getting closer to draft season. But my idea is not to rush it until it's really worth it, and we can have the best results from it. I'm not sure if there's any question or something that you guys might want to share. I just saw. Carlos, is just me, or do you also feel the baseball analytic community a few years back in terms of? Oh, yeah, this is a really interesting question. So there might be a gap. Yeah, there might be a gap between the community and what the teams are already doing, but that's closing. That's closing, and I guess also that with all the revolution that we've seen the past couple of months, this will change a lot. And if you want to find a lot of stuff, Alex, just type machine learning baseball, and you will be surprised that there are some efforts in the community. But also, I'd love to see more of it, and try to get as much people enthusiastic about it. I know this is more of an some people look at it as a nerdy thing. I've been guilty of that. I know, but it's getting more approachable, and it's useful, man. We machine learning, artificial intelligence. It's gonna be ubiquitous. So it will get better, Alex. Let's see. We have set an alarm specifically for this presentation. Thanks, you're very kind. Ryan, Carlos is the one looking forward to this. Thanks, Ryan. You're always too kind with me. Um,
Hey, Carlos.
yes, I'm just rambling now. Are you helping me?
That was really, really cool, man. And I think you were touching on this that I want to kind of explore it a little bit. Um, and correct me if I'm wrong, but really utilizing this to create a pitch quantifier, essentially,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And which is such an interesting idea because how we're doing it right now, we have more data about the spin, we have more data about, from the angles, it might be kind of tough to get release point, but I guess so the machine learning system should be able to determine that. Uh, but right, and you mentioned some names already. I just wanted you to kind of go a little bit more into that and where you see it going.
I mean, the applications could be a lot. I think you mentioned about the pitch trails. That's one
Mhm.
of the right out of the bad things that can be done, and of course, this will take some work out of Alex on his pitch trails, but
Yeah.
because, because we you can automate it, and in fact, I've already seen some stuff already done with machine learning and pitch trails, but that's just like the tip of the iceberg. If you can have the appropriate frame of reference, you can see or get from the actual video all these breaks that the ball does, because we sometimes look at it from a final result. Oh, it had a horizontal break of this, it had a vertical, but
Right.
pitch do a stuff in its way,
Yeah.
on its way to the catchers, mean that we are not quantifying
Right.
right now. So that's those nuances and little things, they all add up to the final result.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know that we use in PLV early break, late break is the best way for us to quantify that now. But I mean, it goes back to me and picture gifts. I wanted you to see it. I wanted you to visualize it and like, hey, cool, we can talk about this pitcher having a good swing strike rate or something, but you know how he's doing that, or
Yeah, exactly.
and you want to see it and you understand it a little bit better with it.
Mhm.
One thing that I mean, just watching that, you you showed Hunter Green and then you showed Munoz, and you can see the camera angle is so much better in Seattle. And
Yeah,
I want to give some appreciation to Seattle for changing their camera angle to make it good, and hopefully, hopefully the Reds can follow suit soon, because it can be so hard in this to identify was that a changeup or or a slider in
yeah,
Cincinnati, because I don't know. It's such a lefty coming all the way over here. And I know it eventually gets to this spot, but I can't honestly tell horizontal movement well because maybe he was trying to throw it inside and then I don't know. Everything looks
yeah.
like it moves so much, and machine learning could actually help us identify that consistency of like, no, that's different than this one or that one.
That's one of the challenges. Trying to why it's sometimes hard to train these models, because as you said, the view is all over the place for all the ballparks, right? But it's
Hmm.
what we have. So the idea was to try to work with this and try to overcome these obstacles. And as long as the model goes more mature and things like that, it will improve in terms of that.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm really excited to see how this develops, Carlos. I can't wait to see it. Thanks so much for
Oh,
sharing it today and being a part of PitchCon.
sure. Thanks to you for everything as usual, Nate, and I hope we nail all those $10,000 as soon
Oh
as
yeah,
possible.
we're gonna get there. I believe in this community. And
Me
just to
too.
give a quick update on that, we are at 6,500 raised now, so we're getting closer. We're under 3,500 left. Ethan $10, Chris 25, Rob 25, Anonymous for 10. Thank you all so much. But yeah, Carlos, remind everybody what you do.
So I rambled a lot on Twitter. That's mostly what I do at CA Marcano. I I am a pitcher list guy. I'm also a baseball prospectus guy. There's where you can find my
No, no, it accidentally. Oh no, Carlos,